Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And we are about to be joined by Judith Miller. Now, Judith Miller, when she was a New York Times reporter, was jailed for refusing to testify against news sources in the investigation into the leaks of the CIA operative, if you recall that whole thing. And she went to jail, the Scooter Libby thing, and she was in jail for 85 days for protecting her sources. Since then, I believe there's been one, Josh Wolf of San Francisco, California, video blogger, who was jailed when he refused to turn over a videotape that the federal officials said contained footage of protesters damaging a police car. We're going to get to all that. We welcome in Judy Miller, who is, of course, Newsmax and Fox News contributor. Hey, Judy, how are you?
Fine. How are you, Steve?
Good. Thanks for taking the time. Before we get to anything, Egypt or the Fox reporter who might go to jail, your thoughts on the passing of Margaret Thatcher?
Oh, it's a very, don't go wobbly on us, George. I think she was a bit of a role model for a lot of women statesmen, and something that Hillary Clinton can aspire to.
Yeah, but there you go. That's putting it nicely. Yeah, something she could aspire to. All right, let's first start with what's going on with the Fox News reporter who finds herself, I think, Wednesday before a judge, Jana Winter, and she's facing the same fate that possibly that you faced when you went to jail for over 80 days for protecting a source. This involves James Holmes, the case of the Aurora, Colorado shooting, and she says that she will not reveal her source. Talk about what she's up against here.
Well, the problem is basically that there was a request by the defense that is James Holmes of Colorado, when she wrote the story about how James Holmes had written out a notebook and a stick drawings that kind of showed what he was planning to do. We don't know if it was specifically mentioned Aurora. We just know that there was talk in the notebooks of a massacre. This was what Jana reported in her exclusive story for Fox News. And then the defense team immediately objected to her report and said that the judge's gag order had been violated and that they had to stop everything and investigate the leak of this information. And so as a result, 14 law enforcement officers have been asked whether they were Jana's source, and each of them has said no. And there's one more who's going to be asked whether or not he spoke to not only Jana but other law enforcement officials who might have told her, and that's going to happen on Wednesday. But basically they claim, of course, that her story prejudiced the minds of a potential juror, and that it would make it harder for their client to get a fair trial. Now, on Friday, the court itself released documents that went far beyond. University psychiatrist had reported to the campus police a month before the massacre that she was afraid of James Holmes and that she thought he was dangerous, and that she felt intimidated by him. So, in other words...
So there's worse stuff out there that's been released, right?
Exactly.
All right, well, and here's the issue. Okay, so that's her circumstance.
Yeah, so they now want, to force her to reveal which law enforcement officers she talked to, since she quoted two in her story, and she's saying, I'm not going to do that because I gave them pledges of confidentiality, and I've got to honor them if I'm going to stay in this business as a journalist, or nobody's going to trust me.